And here's a few more on the sidewalk. Very creative. And finally, one hanging on the tree. Right now, they'll probably win the vote for the most decorative Halloween house within Potrero Hill so far. Now approaching the 1200 block of 19th Street. Cross Street is Mississippi. So you see another wonderful view of the San Francisco skyline at the intersection of Mississippi and 19th Street. Now approaching the 1300 block of 19th Street. Cross Street is Texas. So as you can see, as you cross each intersection, the views of the skyline get more refined and they're more easier to see. So they get better and better as you travel from east to west or west to east throughout Potrero Hill. So as we continue to go westbound on 19th Street, as you can see now, it's going to be a slight downhill as we approach our final destination, which is near 20th and Vermont, the longest crooked street in the city. But nevertheless, it's going to vary as you travel throughout the various neighborhoods where the hills are going to vary. You're either going to be going uphill or you're going to be going downhill. In this particular moment, we're going to be going downhill. Now, approaching the 1400 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Missouri. And if you notice, you'll see a name, Peter Summon Way, in conjunction to 19th Street. Sometimes you'll find that certain streets or even highways are named after famous people. So you want to consider that when trying to find a specific location. Also, I want to show you something else about the significance of parking in the city, especially in the residential neighborhoods, like Potrero Hill. Now, on some streets, like on Missouri Street, you'll have to park at 90-degree angle. And so you want to pay attention to that when you're in various neighborhoods like Potrero Hill. And I'll show you the signage in a minute. But this is the way you need to park. You see the cars on the right-hand side of Missouri Street? Notice the position and how they're parked. You must park at this angle, at 90 degrees, on this particular block, and like many blocks throughout the city. So, as you can see, as the sign indicates, park at 90 degrees. So again, as I was saying earlier, make sure you pay attention to the signage if you decide to street park within the city to risk getting ticketed or towed. Well, at the corner of 19th Street in Connecticut is the St. Teresa of Avila Catholic Church. Now they've got mass schedule hours of Saturday Vigil 4 to 15 p.m. and then regular mass on Sundays from 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. and Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Now approaching the 1500 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Connecticut. Yet another spectacular view of the San Francisco skyline at the intersection of 19th Street and Connecticut. They never stop getting better. Now, one of the things you'll have to abide by when driving throughout the city are street closures. And these occur for a lot of different reasons. Accidents, construction, whatever it might be, you may run into these street closure signs. So you'd want to pay attention to this, and ideally, if you can find out in advance, if a street is going to be closed prior to arrival, that's going to save you a lot of time and driving around in circles before you find your targeted address. But nevertheless, you need to adhere to these road closure signs, which can happen at any given time. Now approaching the 1600 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Arkansas. Now before we continue going westbound on 19th Street, I want to show you something else you need to be aware of if you're driving a large vehicle through the neighborhoods that have steep hills like Potrero Hill. So you see you have two signs here that advise you of driving on Arkansas Street on this very steep hill of Arkansas. I'll show you in a minute. And one says sharp crest ahead, and then trucks not advised. Now you need to be very aware of the steepness of these hills when driving a large vehicle, because in some cases you might not be able to make it going up the hill, maybe going down the hill but not up the hill. That had to happen to me once when I was a driver, commercial driver for a day, driving some children back home, and I had to go down up a very steep hill, and I almost didn't think I was going to make it because the vehicle had a very difficult time driving up the steep hill. I thought I was going to turn around and go backwards for a minute, but I didn't know. I was not aware of all these steep hills throughout the city. So let me show you how steep Arkansas Hill is coming off of 19th Street. So as you can see, Arkansas Street is very steep, and you'd have a very difficult time driving up this hill with a large vehicle. But coming down, of course, is a different thing. As long as you have great brakes, as you can see, there's a UPS truck that's parked on the left-hand side of the street, but it managed to find a few other streets in the navigation that allowed it to come down the hill of Arkansas Street as opposed to going up the hill Arkansas Street. So again, this is something you want to be aware of when you're driving to a destination point with a large vehicle, is you need to know, and you need to know how to navigate your way around driving up steep hills in the city. So now as I'm continuing going westbound on 19th Street, off of Arkansas, the street is going downwards. And this view is spectacular because I'm not at the intersection right now, but you see how you get a clear, pretty much unobstructed view of the skyline, which is really extraordinary. And it's kind of like to the left of the main downtown area. So if you just look to your right here, I'm going to show you, you'll be able to see more of the downtown area to the right. Let me give you some individual shots versus a panoramic shot. So here's a great individual shot of the city skyline, which is really extraordinary. And then if you just look to your right, you'll see a little bit more of the skyline, though the tree and the buildings are obstructing it, the view. So yeah, as soon as I get down to the bottom of the hill at 19th and Wisconsin, now you can see a more clear view of the downtown San Francisco skyline, which is really extraordinary. Now approaching the 1700 block of 19th Street, the cross street is Wisconsin. So again, another example of how steep the hills can be here in the city, and how it's better if you're coming down the hill like this car is versus going up the hill when you have a large vehicle. And notice how, again, the cars are parked at 90-degree angle as well. Now here's yet another sign that you need to be aware of when parking throughout the city, is when it says no stopping, and notice the date between October 22nd, 2020 and October 23rd, 2020, between 12 a.m. midnight to 5 p.m., essentially Thursday and Friday. And then look at the address, 655 DeHarrell Street at 19th Street. DeHarrell's coming up here in a few minutes. No parking in this area during this time frame. Now, if you park in this area during this time frame, you ignore the sign, then you run the risk of getting towed. So this is why I say is to always pay attention to signage whenever you decide to do any street parking within the city. Now we're crossing the 1800 block of 19th Street. The cross street is Carolina. Okay, now we're approaching the 1900 block of 19th Street. The cross street is DeHarrow. Now, I got to show you something really special about this intersection, about what you can see. One moment. Now, at the intersection of 19th Street and DeHarrow, check out the spectacular, unobstructed views of the city skyline. It's really extraordinary. I'm going to give you several individual shots so you can see how wonderful it is at this particular intersection, because it's not obstructed by trees or buildings or houses like many of the other intersections as we're coming down 19th Street. So let me give you some more great shots. Now here's yet another shot of the wonderful shot of the Bay Bridge and East Bay Hill in the background. The Bay Bridge is what you're going to be using when you're, let's say, coming from the Oakland airport, driving a rental car into the city, or vice versa, coming out of the city, going over to the Oakland airport. You're going to be using the Bay Bridge. So, as you can see, another spectacular view of the Bay Bridge. And let me show you one more great shot that you'll see here at the corner of DeHarrow and 19th Street. So this third shot at the corner of DeHarrow and 19th Street, it shows you where we literally came from. We came from the east and we're coming west. And you'll notice that you'll see wonderful views of the homes that are on the hills. So you see what they essentially living on in these homes on the hills, they're going to be able to wake up to spectacular views of the skyline. But now you see how they look on the hill, as well as the steepness of the 19th Street from which we came.